Maybe we can start with what we talked about the other day when we were talking together. When you approach archives like these, things that no one has ever seen before, the reaction, is really weird because, on the one hand, you're like a fanboy. On the other hand, you have a job to do. So sometimes it's really a balance to find. I don't know what was your reaction when you first saw something that you had been dreaming to see for so long, and you had it in your hands.
Well, can you hear me? Can everybody hear me? Yes? Okay, great. The problem I have going to archives is that I never know what I'm going to see. So if you go into an archive, you don't know what's being kept or what they have or anything. So normally when I visit a place, I have no idea. I have to go with a complete open mind. So if you like, I've got to be Zen because otherwise I will, if I say, oh, I really want this and it's not there, I'm going to be terribly disappointed. But if I go in with zero expectations, then if I find something, then it's, look what I found. It's like the very first time I went into the Lucasfilm archives. They just walked me through. They say, right, we've got this warehouse here, we've got this warehouse here, we've got these props here, we've got drawings here, and it was like, okay, can you just stop and let me have a look at something? And so we just stopped. I opened a drawer, just at random, and the first thing I see in the Lucasfilm archives is a little sketch on an A4 paper, and it's got little drawings on it. And I was told that this drawer was the drawer that when they'd finished episodes 1, 2, and 3 of Star Wars, all the artists who had lived in the loft at the top of the main house, they left. And all the drawings that were left were put into this drawer. So they were completely unsorted. So in this one drawer, you had a pile that was Ryan Church, a pile that was Doug Chiang, a pile that was Eric Tiemens. And what I'd picked up was a drawing by Eric Tiemens, and as I later talked to Eric, but to confirm what I thought, but this piece of paper was the first meeting that Eric had with George Lucas, and George had said, right, Revenge of the Sith is, Revenge of the Sith, episode 3, this is going to be about 5 battles on 5 planets. So what Eric had drawn were ideas for battles on different planets. So that was the very first thing I found, and of course I made sure it was in the book. So.
Yeah, when you see things like this, you have to choose then, and you have to work. There's the first surprise. When we first saw the storyboards from RoboCop 1. It was. It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
The 209 scenes changed my life. So when I found with Gilles those folders, I was like, what? That does this exist? I have never seen this before.
Yeah.
So, and then you have to switch as quickly as possible to people need to see this. I have a job to do, and you surprise yourself, like you're being really calm around those things. I remember we were shooting the documentary, and there was the real Ed 209, the full-scale robot, just next to us, and we were setting up a shot
Yeah.
Like framing something around 8209, and we were waiting for Craig Hayes, who was the designer of 8209, who worked with Phil Tippett, he was coming in 30 minutes to do the interview with us. And we were framing, and Gilles was, so I was with my phone trying to frame the thing and trying to find the right balance in the shot. And Gilles was like, oh, he could touch it, and at some point he could touch it, and Gilles touches the arm of a 209, and I realized, what was happening. And I told him, you realize what you're touching right now? So it's like flashes when you're working. I don't know if it's the same. It's almost schizophrenic.
Yeah, I think that when you're there, I mean, they took me into the costumes, and they have Indiana Jones jacket and the hat, right? And then there's another jacket, and another jacket, and another jacket, and you realize just how much work and effort and skill goes into these. Well, when you touch them, if you're allowed to touch them, which isn't always the case, when you touch them, you can feel the textures. You can see like all the little sewing on it, and then you see how they've destroyed them. That they've systematically, this one is almost brand new, this one half destroyed, this one completely destroyed. I find that the whole process of making movies fascinating, and when you're shown inside, often what you're seeing is just a part of it, and it's only when you go into the archives, when you've been in there for a long, long time, perhaps in my case, sometimes for months, that you can find a whole story, because something that you find, say, on the first day may mean something, but it only connects to something that you found in month 3, that you realize that those two things are connected, and that's part of telling the story.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You have to really connect everything you find, and to me the notes, the memos, the schedules are almost as important as the sketches, and when you have production meeting notes, it's so enlightening. You understand the process, where they were at that particular point in the artistic process, and you have to connect the dots. You have to read all the memos, you have to read all the sheets, all the documents that you can find to really tell the story as it is, actually, to refine the story.
Yeah, and also you're always trying to find the human element to that. So the people we meet and talk to, they all have stories and experiences, and they want to, what you're trying to do is to draw out from them what they thought and felt while they were creating, and what the ideas and thoughts were behind that. So for me, that's really the most important element of making the books.
Yeah, we can finish with the human element, which is really the core of what we do, because the story, it's not about only the art, it's about the artists and the journey they took to produce all this. And I find that it's the most compelling aspect of the job, actually, to spend time with them, to try to understand them, actually, to really know them better before we can write the book. I don't know, you told me that you spent time with, I did an exhibition about Drew Struzan.
Yeah.
I couldn't have done the same exhibition about Drew Struzan without knowing Drew Struzan before. Knowing him, knowing his wife, knowing his son, etc., and being at his studio and trying to understand the process, it's better. But you spent time with Paul Verhoeven because you did. But it was not necessarily interviews, but spending time to understand and his surroundings.
Well, I met Paul Verhoeven quite briefly when I was doing a book. I was basically the editor of the book. I did all the photo research and all the research. I met him, he said, meet me at 8, and I found the place, and it was a cafe. and we sat down, and we ended up not talking about movies or about him. We ended up talking about crime and mystery thrillers, and we were swapping names. He says, "You've got to read Boris Akunin." So I went out, afterwards, and I was buying and reading all of Boris Akunin because Paul wanted to make a film, and I said, "You've got to read Charles Willeford," and so he went out and bought that. So the thing is, sometimes that you find connections to people, that is a way in that allows you to be more personal and be more human with the people you meet. And generally I find that the people you meet are lovely people. And I think this is what's really nice. And if you're talking to somebody about their work, they're very happy to do that. And so I'm very privileged, I think. And we're both privileged, I think.
I was about to say, it's a privilege to be able to pay tribute to them, to know them, but to pay tribute to them and to actually create vocations, actually, because people will read this and they will say to themselves, it's possible. Maybe I can take the same journey. Maybe it's going to be difficult, but I should try.
Yeah, for sure. You should definitely try. And I want everybody out there to try and be as creative as you can and do what you want to do. Yeah.
Well, I'll leave you to your talk. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Alexandre.
And, I'll be back in 30 minutes.
Okay, or more. Yeah, okay, thank you.